Tonight, News4Jax investigates. His tenants accuse him of getting rich off poor people's backs. And now the millionaire pastor who owns the Eureka Gardens apartment complex is taking more heat for investing more than $1 million in a Christian retreat center.
News4Jax investigator Tarik Minor traveled to Memphis and learned Reverend Richard Hamlet's foundation, Global Ministries, purchased a $1.25 million satellite campus earlier this year to expand his ministry, while hundreds of his Section 8 tenants continue to live in squalor.
Memphis locals say Reverend Hamlet is focused on building his own empire rather than trying to improve the quality of life of the people he well knows are living in the subsidized housing complexes he owns. Many are in desperate need of repair, and this is what we found in Memphis. Apartments infested with bugs, brown water, rats, and black mold. We found electrical and structural issues. His tenants are outraged that his attention isn't on the less fortunate. In the working-class neighborhood of Hickory Hills, Tennessee. Hidden behind this gated entrance is what some call a pastor's paradise on 18 acres of land. News4Jax has confirmed Richard Hamlet's Global Ministries Foundation paid $1.25 million just 9 months ago for this satellite campus called the Stephen Olford Center. It's a facility the pastor says is designed to teach men and women how to preach.
It is a place where ministers can come, where churches can come and be fed and taught by Dr. David Olford.
The center features 60 dorm rooms, a commercial-grade kitchen, dining facilities, a swimming pool, and a chapel that accommodates 250 people. The campus has walking trails and basketball courts. Employees say it's designed to house large meetings, events, and even weddings. The retreat's elegance is a far cry from the properties Hamlet owns in many cities, including those right here in Jacksonville. Robert Avant lives just 30 miles away from the retreat in the Warren Apartments, which failed a HUD inspection last year. Avant says when the family living above him uses the bathroom, the sewage runs down the wall into his apartment. This is cell phone video Avant shared with us showing water flowing from above.
Like if I come here to take a bath or whatever and they flush their toilet, all of it just leak down and it be flooded out right here. You see how I got this towel so to try to soak the water up. Avant
says he's put in requests to fix the piping in his ceiling for several months with no response. For now, he uses bleach to clean up the mess.
I don't know what to say about it. They won't come fix it. I can't get them. I can't make them, force them to come do nothing. So I try, and I just make do what I got now.
The problems don't stop there. At 3 of Hamlet's Section 8 housing complexes here in Memphis, residents complain of persistent black mold, unsanitary drinking water, and bathrooms in deplorable condition.
How did your kid get sick?
From the mildew and the water. The water was brown.
We took the concerns of these residents to Reverend Richard Hamlet's foundation office.
Gentlemen, Mr. Hamlet, how are you,
come
sir?
on into this house.
Where Hamlet agreed to sit down with me.
Why not take that $1.5 million that you put into the Olford Center and put those into those properties?
Mm-hmm. Well, those are two different business plans. The Olford Center, we have donors that give to our foundation for specific ministry projects, and we work in 30 countries around the world.
Hamlet says his housing projects are a sustainable business and his ministry a separate entity within his business model. He says he made substantial improvements at his 3 troubled apartment complexes, evacuating 45 families out of their homes because of the poor conditions, and then moving them back in after the repairs were made earlier this year. But residents say the Reverend is blatantly neglecting the needs of the poor.
When you see some of the conditions that the people live in, how does that affect you?
It bothers me. My heart is to come and help those who are who need to be empowered, and those who are the disadvantaged. Excuse me. I mean, this is impromptu, but that's my mission. I want to build bridges to help those who are the least and the disadvantaged.
He's a criminal. He's a criminal masquerading as a man of God, and he's doing it with public money. He is taking advantage of people in the most vulnerable of circumstances and retaliating against people who complain.
Brad Watkins, director of the Mid-South Peace and Justice Center, says the purchase of Hamlet's retreat center in the midst of a federal housing investigation disgusts him. He says it sends the message that Hamlet's growing empire is more important than the people living in squalor in Memphis, Jacksonville, Orlando, and New Orleans. Watkins is planning a boycott of the Stephen Alford Center.
We're going to make sure that every church congregation that considers going there takes their business somewhere else. You cannot do God's work in the den of a person who is the worst sort of example of Christianity and the worst sort of example of a pastor and a reverend.
Reverend Hamlet says he wanted the legacy of the Stephen Alford Retreat Center to continue after Dr. Stephen Alford's death. The Alfords and the Hamlets are family friends. Reverend Hamlet owns 61 properties in 8 different states and reports an annual salary of $485,000 a year. We've also learned, according to tax documents, Hamlet hired his family. His wife, Ginger, who's the director of the Women's Outreach, makes about $70,000 a year. His 2 sons, Lucian and Hunter, who are the foundation's financial analyst and the asset manager, pull in $60,000 a year. And his daughter, Natalie Metcalf, who is the corporate secretary, makes $40,000 a year. Reverend Hamlet tells News4Jax he deserves his salary because of all the hard work he puts in every single day. Tarik Minor, Channel 4, the local station.